This is Sky Blues Extra.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sky Blues Extra Live. A huge result in our season for the Sky Blues today. A 3-1 win over, fellow relegation rivals, I would say, in Rotherham. Tonight I'm joined by Ross. Good to have you along with me, Ross. How are you after that?
I'm buzzing, man. Yeah. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good. You know, I woke up this morning with a bit of expectations and a little bit nervous, I would say, but to come through that, scoring some really good goals as well. Very good performance across the pitch. Just overall, how do you feel, and how would you assess today went?
Oh, no, brilliant! To be honest with you, it was probably the nearest sort of perfect performance we've had. I mean, we should have scored 4 by half time if we're being totally honest. I mean, and they weren't just half chances; they were gilt edge. I mean, Walker. I felt like we were always the team who looked like closest to scoring.
That's probably the only negative, though, isn't it? That we didn't score more there.
Yeah, if we were to be really picky, I guess a clean sheet would have been perfect. But I felt that wasn't sort of down to us. That was the referee or the linesman giving the penalty. But I agree. The only other way we could have improved is probably just added another goal. Do you know what I mean? Just smash the team. But it was a brilliant performance.
Yeah, and it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? You get the feeling in seasons, that there are turning points. This to me today feels like one of those. We could go on a run in this huge month, obviously in the shape of our season, but that gives us now huge momentum now going into the rest of these games, doesn't it?
Oh, crack! Oh, of course. I mean, we spoke last weekend about what a great point it was. We're at Norwich, looking at after the Norwich game, looking at the fixtures we had: Derby on Tuesday, Rotherham today, Luton on Tuesday, Wickham next, and then we move on. And you've got Stoke and Huddersfield, and you look up now until Christmas. You think there's winnable games, every game, and that's why after the late draw on Tuesday, I kept thinking that's a good point if we back it up with a win today, and that's what we've done.
Obviously, we were probably all disappointed on Tuesday because it felt like potentially that was one that got away from us. But now looking back, that point was massive going into this game to pick up 3, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I remember before the game, I spoke to a few friends, commentary fans, and I said I would rather draw the Derby game and win today than beat Derby but draw today, because we're ahead of Derby. There's already a bit of a points cushion, whereas Rotherham are right. Well, we were 1 point ahead of them going into today's game. So to go 4 points clear of them, that would knock their confidence because it was equally as big a game for them, wasn't it? So, no, brilliant. It was brilliant. It makes Gus Hamer's last-minute equaliser feel all the more sweeter.
Absolutely. Sky Blues Extra fans, obviously get your comments into us. We'll talk about anything you want us to talk about this evening. Let's throw up a few comments at the moment. Obviously, everyone's in high spirits, of course, after a fantastic win. And Nigel Woodcock, yes, straight up, just yes. We get lots of yeses. Get in from Mark Cunningham here. Great game from Shortland Horn, Supermax, sponsors of our podcast. Nigel's also saying that it's the ugliest football we've played all season, but the system allows for something different. Do you agree with that? I thought at times our play was superb.
Yeah, I think it might mean sort of. I think we were a bit more direct. Do you know what I mean? I noticed actually there wasn't that sort of when we last played 5 at the back, not including the Norwich game, but when we played against Watford, we were always going from centre back to wing back. I didn't feel like we did that as much. We did sort of go a bit more direct, but we threaded the balls through to O'Hare. I mean, first half, some of the football we played, they couldn't deal with us.
No, definitely not. And I suppose you look at the first goal, wasn't it? A brilliant goal. Both strikers obviously involved. First Walker with that incredible chest off to Max, and then in turn his touch and finish was absolutely sublime, wasn't it? A great opening goal.
It was like the reverse of, or in a way, the Watford goal. When Biamu set up Walker, but no, it was lovely. I mean, I don't know what it is about Max, but I just feel confident when he's in on a goal. I just think he's gonna put that in the back of the net. I thought Max is gonna score this. He'd missed a few chances earlier in the season, which you'd expect him to put away. But once he got that goal against Norwich, I thought that's going to kick-start him now. And I'm buzzing for him. I couldn't be happier. Do you know what I mean? He's such I love him.
Obviously, everyone's talking about Max's performance. Corey Catlow here, class performance from Biamu. Jack Hayward with the same, what a win. Biamu was class today. What a touch by Walker. Yeah, an absolute brilliant touch. I don't think we can understate how good that touch was. It created so much space for Max to run into. And his first touch himself was brilliant, wasn't it?
Oh, well, exactly. And you're totally right. Like that touch by Walker, you don't see that because what you see is the touch and Max is through in on goal. And there was a very similar touch where in the first half where O'Hare was almost in as well. And it was a similar sort of little touch by Walker. And it's those little things which just go under the radar. But as you say, Biamu, that first touch is crucial because he got the ball out of his feet and then he just, he did the rest.
Slotsville. From Max Biamu. And we'll talk about the overhead kick a little bit later on. I think it would have been absolute scenes if that had gone in. Probably Twitter would have melted down if that overhead kick had gone in. But one thing I do want to bring up is the difference in the lineup today. Before bringing up a comment, we'll just have a quick look at the lineup. And obviously we reverted back to that 5 with the 2 up top. Do you think this is our best system?
I'm not sure. I think in certain games, yes, I think it is our best system. I think I've always preferred the 5 at the back when we have 2 up front. When we've played that box 4, it's just not quite clicked this season. But when we went 2 up front against Forest and against Watford, although obviously we lost both games, we created so many chances. And so I feel against certain opposition, Rotherham, I feel Luton, I feel the next few games we could play this and it gives us a better chance of scoring goals. I think the 4 at the back worked against Cardiff, which, I mean, that result now looks incredible with the run they've now gone on. So I think what Robbins can do now is he can tailor the formation based on the opposition.
Yeah, it probably needed that today because, they're a big, strong unit, aren't they, Rotherham, especially at the back. I mean, Richard Wood, I think he's about 86 now, but, he's still knocking around, playing in the Championship as well. I mean, all testament to him. But, they're a big, hustly unit at the back, aren't they? So it needed a bit of strength at the top there. And having 2 up there as well, Walker's got some strength about him as well. He's not to be shunned upon up the top end of the pitch for his strength.
No, but we bring the best out of Walker when he's got someone near him. I don't know what you think, Dean, but there's been times where when he's by himself, I just go, like Derby, I thought, he is so isolated. It's untrue. I just thought, we're not getting the best out of him. I mean, the only thing he did against Derby, not his fault either, was that unbelievable header, which was disallowed. But today, he was assist. He got the goal, he got an assist. He could have had a hat trick if we're being honest. Yeah. And he's involved in the game, and that's the difference.
But he started well to life in a sky blue shirt, hasn't he? Overall, I would say he's adjusted really well to a brand new setup to him, obviously. New teammates, different style of play to what he's used to at different teams he's played out in the past. So, I mean, all credit to him so far.
And he came with pressure. He was rumoured, almost £1 million maybe. It was a big signing. He was our sort of big striker signing. We all said we needed a striker. You expect strikers to score goals, and so there's pressure on him, especially now Godden's injured. But he stepped up, and I'm delighted for Walker. I think he started very, very well.
Absolutely. Let's bring our first guest into the play today. A regular to obviously Sky Blues Extra, Glenn Goran Eriksson. Glenn, you're live on the show this evening. Great to have you with us. You must be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, that's the best we've played in a long while. It's the best 45 minutes I think we've played probably in a year. I don't think we've clicked as well as we did today. And I think if we'd won by 4 or 5 goals, it wouldn't have flattered us. I think the keeper's made a couple of cracking saves. The one from Biamu's overhead kick is superb, just getting his foot on it. So no, but it worked very well today.
You talk about how well we played in that first 45 minutes, but I thought for the first 5 minutes, Rotherham were absolutely all over us and we couldn't get the ball out of our own half. And I thought, oh God, here we go again. But, we came into it and that goal helped us take the pressure off a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a great touch for Walker to set Max through, and it's a cracking finish by Max. And then we just grew in confidence, and we never really looked in any major trouble. They were always going to be a threat, and you're always thinking if they get one, it's going to be hard work. But I think 3-1 probably flattered them, to be fair. It's never a penalty. And that's just beggars belief how that one got given today and the one Tuesday night didn't get given because it's exactly the same circumstance. And in fact, it's probably more of a goal scoring opportunity on Tuesday night than the one was today because he's never getting the ball. So I don't know how he can give it. He's not getting the ball. It's
Well, and the
miles
linesman
up in
gives
the
it
air.
as well, doesn't he? The linesman gives it. You know, the referee pointed for a goal kick, which was the right thing. I mean, there's always going to be contact. That's what I thought. But what was mad, I agree, Glenn, on Tuesday night, O'Hare, the ball went one way and he got wiped out by Marshall, who's going the other way, you know, and I don't know how that was never a penalty, but luckily it didn't cost us. But Glenn, I wanted to ask you, obviously last year in the last game we played Rotherham, it was the 1-1 draw, and it was a game of two halves, and we sort of didn't really deal with their sort of physicality in the first half last season. But apart from those sort of early couple of minutes today, we dealt with them so much better, didn't we, than last season?
Oh, it's 10 times. Max, I mean, to be fair to Max, the game last year, he was pretty much non-existent in the game against them. He didn't really do much of note that I can remember. Today, he was all over the place. He was bullying them. He was working the channels. And I think he's a good workhorse for the team, and he brings the best out of someone alongside him who's a goal threat. So I think him and Godden would work well. Him and Walker worked very well based on that. And obviously him and McNulty, the year we got out of League Two, he brought the best out of McNulty. I think he probably didn't get the credit for how much donkey work he did for McNulty. So,
I think he's always going to have his critics because he didn't score enough, isn't it? That's the thing everybody's saying. But, you know, he's not there just to score goals. He's there to be a nuisance. And if he's got goal scorers around him, it doesn't matter if they're scoring goals and we're winning games. And it happened in League Two, as you say, with McNulty. It's a really good point you make there, and but potentially it could work here as shown today.
I think he's an important goal scorer rather than a goal scorer. He gets goals that matter.
Yeah.
The winner against Bolton. The goal against Peterborough. If we defended better, that would have been a winner. The first goal today set the tone on it. He just, the goal against Norwich, he gets important goals for us. I think I remember ages ago speaking to a football coach, and he said it's all right scoring 30 odd goals, but if you don't, half those goals are in defeat, it's not really worth you scoring the goals. Whereas Max, when he plays and he starts, his goals per game ratio is pretty impressive on it. So I just think, obviously, we could do with Godden back, but I don't think we're going to get him back anytime soon. So we've just got to make do. And Walker and BMU as a two works. It was a bit harsh on Giles, but he's an option off the bench if we needed to chase it. And it's probably been a bit harsh on Sheaf, but it needs must, and they'll get an opportunity down the line at some point, and they've just got to take it.
Who would you say was your man of the match today, Glenn? Obviously, you've mentioned Max a few times. Would he take the honours today?
I thought Kelly was superb again. Yeah. I mean, there was the cross he set up for Max's overhead kick was superb.
Yeah.
And there was
what was he doing that high up?
I know, yeah, nosebleed. And then there was one, I think he blocked it in our box, and then he broke and set the attack up. And we looked so much better side with him in it. And even, like I said, the back three, I thought defended quite well. I thought Wilson did well again. And I think Wilson's actually got areas that he's probably better than Morosi. I think he's better kicking. He doesn't seem to overhit as many of the kicks. And he does come for stuff. And like I say, I think he's unlucky not to actually have a clean sheet in one of his 3 cup games. I think he's been a bit unlucky.
Absolutely. Now, looking ahead to obviously Tuesday night, huge game against Luton Town. They lost 2-0 today. They had Matthew Pearson sent off as well, so their first choice right back is out of the game. What are your thoughts ahead of that?
I looked at it last night and I just thought, if we could somehow get 9 points this week, I know it's a big if, but how that would be like
pressurised,
changing.
Takes it off, right?
I think that would be almost like when we had that winner games where we had Pompey, we had Sunderland, Rotherham, and Ipswich. I just thought if we could nick 9 points, even if we got 7, it would just make such a difference. If you can string a couple of results together, especially wins in the Championship, you jump up a lot of places. Like I say, it's massive. I think Tuesday nights not get beat, and Wickham is a massive, massive game. And hopefully we do our normal trick of winning there as we normally do. But I think Luton are probably I'll be more worried about with their style of play. We don't seem to deal with them quite as well in past games. Whereas Wickham, I think they're stick at honours approach like Rotherham. If we defend like we did today, we should be fine, hopefully.
Great. Glenn, once again, thanks very much for joining us on Sky Blues Extra Live. Really appreciate your input as always, and we look forward to Tuesday.
Hopefully another win. See you later, boys.
Cheers, Glenn. Cheers, thanks, mate. And just before we move on, Ross, I just got to say this, that the Sky Blues Extra store is offering free postage this weekend. So if you're in a pickle in what to get for one of your Sky Blues supporting relatives this Christmas, pop on there, get yourself a bargain. Some really, really nice shirts, really nice designs on there. So so take a look at that when you've got a free moment. Right, let's get back to some comments. I'll probably read this one out before Wardy has a go at us. But yeah, brilliant win. We can really push on now. Makes that point of Derby look good. Yep, we've mentioned that. Mark, great day. We win. The Val and those pesky insects of the Rico lose. That's really good. Obviously, a lot of love for Max Biamu this evening. Seems to step up to every level he plays. He's brilliant. That's one thing, that's not mentioned enough. He's done it in League 2, he's done it in League 1, and now he's showing it at Championship level. Okay, only against Rotherham, but he can do it at all levels, right?
Oh, exactly. And to add it to what a great day it was, Sunderland lost at home as well to Wigan. So that was good. Yeah. But no, I agree. No, the good thing about Max is, who would have thought that rewind sort of 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, who would have thought that we'd be sat here talking about, for me, he was man of the match, a man of the match performance, in the Championship when it looked like he was fourth choice. Yeah. I mean, he couldn't even get on the bench. And you were thinking, the way Robbins was talking was like, it was sort of like, I think he trusts him. He doesn't have a problem with him. But I think even Max surprises Mark Robbins. And every season, he looks like he's out of it. And he forces his way in. I remember last year, he played for the under-23s and he scored in like every game, week after week. You see Bakayoko in the under-23s and he doesn't do anything.
If I speak about Bakayoko, I'm going to get myself into trouble, 100%. But he's the perfect squad player, isn't he? Everyone needs a squad player, right? In the likes of Max Biamu, he's taken out of the cold and then comes back in, and he hits the ground.
He doesn't sulk. He never sulks. His attitude, I think, is spot on. I mean, to me, it's priceless when you've got someone who loves the city, loves the club as he does. And I always feel there's certain players when you think they look hungry to score. Like he looks like he wants to score so bad. And I mean, to be fair, there was that other chance he had in the first half when I thought, he's spectacular. He could have whipped it, 20 yards, top corner. And I actually fancied him. I don't know what it is. I always think, hey, if there's a shot to have, Biamu's the man I want taking it.
Yeah, definitely. Great comment here from Ken. Great win, great performance. Nice top, Ross. Yep, Ross has got the new top, everybody.
The new City of Culture top. It arrived today. I got my email yesterday. It said dispatched. I was fingers crossed, and then it arrived. So it's a good luck charm. I wore it today. It's
actually really, really nice. I mean, we spoke just before we came on. It's really, really smart, isn't it? And it's great that it implements so much about our city, doesn't it?
Oh, it's class. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's even nicer in person. I mean, I literally just pre-ordered it straight away. I just think there's just so much about it. Like, the detail, obviously, in the collar, you got the legends, like the Panini stickers and the skyline. And it's something that you go, you know what, actually? Because there's other tops I've got in my drawer, which they're either nice tops or they're not nice tops. But they're nothing to do with Coventry. They're just templates. Whereas these, it's like, even if they're not your favourite, you can't dislike how much Coventry's in them. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've had a friend the red and black one, for example, my friend initially, he hated it when it was released. And he ended up buying it because I said, when are you going to get a Singers SC top again? Do you know what I mean? It's like a piece of memorabilia more than just a kit, There's
heritage there, isn't there?
Well, I always think back to the League 2 grey away kit, Nike. And I think if you didn't like it, you're never going to get it. And you're never going to think, oh, I wish I'd got that grey Nike away kit. Whereas it's like the two-tone kit as well. It's just, this will be timeless, I feel.
Absolutely. People talk about, obviously, the two up top brings out the best in players like O'Hare. I thought O'Hare had an outstanding game today. Very busy, energetic, linking up play once again. His finishing is a question mark that we've all got over him, but sometimes he doesn't need to do that, does he? He just needs to be busy and causing mayhem as he does.
Oh, exactly. I mean, was it his shot that hit the post? It was. So he was unlucky. I mean, I was having this discussion with someone. And I said, I think if O'Hare starts taking even just 10% more of his chances, we win a lot more games. Because I feel in every game there's a chance where you go, oh, I could have scored there. And I think the moment he starts scoring, we'll just see our wins will just go through the roof. But he does a lot of dirty work, like he's closing down. He's not a luxury cam. Do you know what I mean? Like, you think of Bright Enekabari, he off the ball, he wasn't great. On the ball, he was magic. But O'Hare, I think he could be magic on the ball, but off the ball, he's like a scavenger. He's always
some of the blocks he pulled in today on the edge of our own box.
Yes,
I remember. Absolutely brilliant. There was one where he tracked back at full pace, checked his run, then came back inside and got that crucial block in. Outstanding for an attacking midfielder to do that. Absolutely brilliant. Just shows how much love he has for the team and for the club, right?
Oh, absolutely. His commitment is second to none, and that goes through the whole team. And I think that's what Robbins has instilled in this team. You don't look at any team and go, any player and go, he was a passenger today. Do you know what I mean? They all put a shift in, all of them. Hamer, I thought he was quality again.
The
Kelly
ball for the goal as well, for Ostergaard's goal. I mean,
that's been coming though, hasn't it? Every game at the start of the season, you know, Barnsley, he hit the bar, and that one I just saw he was unmarked. I thought, come on, man, please, you know. But
he's got such a powerful header, though, hasn't he? Yeah, well, I don't know where he pulls it from.
In a way, up until today, I thought he defended very well today. But in other games, I've been a bit critical. I've always thought he actually heads the ball better offensively than he does defensively. Yeah. Today, I thought he defended very well, but it was a thumping header. He just the way he jumps, he's always up there.
In the comments is about Max's performance today, and I don't think we can underestimate how good it was. And Donald brings up a great point here that he has fantastic character. You know, we've spoke about he's getting his head down, training hard, takes a chance when he comes, and he's took that chance today, hasn't he? It was a superb leading the line performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like we've spoke about, fantastic attitude. I agree with that comment. He just gives defenders something to worry about. Do you know what I mean? He's a body. I mean, the amount of times I feel like the Rotherham. I mean, he took off Richard Wood, didn't he? Paul Warren at half time. I just don't think he could cope with the two strikers.
Absolutely not. Let's talk about that overhead kick, though. You know, Kelly to begin with,
outside of the foot,
outrageous outside of the foot, swinging it back in the box, and Max went for the spectacular. You know, he's got it in his locker. Obviously, he's done it plenty of times before, and he's well capable of doing it, but the ball ended up cannoning off the post. It was so unlucky, wasn't it?
Oh, it was. To be fair, when I saw it in real time, I wasn't quite sure what happened. Do you know what I mean? Initially,
it was odd,
because the way the ball went in, you fancy someone to throw their head at it, or stab it with a foot, and I just saw this sort of body sort of morph in some weird way, and then it hits the post, and you're thinking, oh, and then when you watch the reverse angle, I think he did get a hand to it, didn't he? That Blackman. And
he definitely did.
He did.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, and that's what makes it more impressive, because he wouldn't have been expecting an overhead kick there. You know, so when Max suddenly turns, it was a brilliant save. Obviously, it was so unlucky. I mean, Max and overhead kick save, you know.
And the two linked up well again, didn't they, towards the end of that first half? A great chance for Walker. It was a brilliant save by the keeper and a great flick on from Max. But it showed what two up top can give you.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I thought both the strikers on the pitch, I thought I fancied them. Do you know what I mean? When Walker was through, I thought, go on, mate, you're a finisher. And it was a good save. Credit. I mean, the goalie kept Rotherham in, and I've read a lot of Rotherham fans' comments, and they've said that without this goalkeeper, there's a lot of games this season they'd have lost by 4 or 5.
He's a very tall guy, isn't he? He seems very big in stature in the goal. He did pull out some crucial saves, and I thought his positioning, to be fair to Blackman, was really good for most of the game. But I think we just had that little bit extra, didn't we, to finish off those chances? Yes,
we did, yeah. I mean, the pressure told, and it would have been criminal had we not won that game.
I thought the poor performance of Ben Wilson in goal again was another plus point. He seems very confident in crosses. There was one or two, iffy moments, shall we say, when he sort of dropped the ball. But, Ben Wilson has taken to life in replace of Morosi really well, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that those hairy moments, to be fair, were like you said, Dean, in the first 5 minutes, when Rotherham looked, that was the one time in the game where they just looked brighter than us, those first 5 minutes. And there was one where he sort of spilt it slightly. But apart from that, mate, I agree with one of the comments. His kicking, actually, he doesn't take as long to kick. And he's not, he does see, when he kicks it long, he gets a lot of distance on it. It relieves a lot of pressure. Full credit to him, because I think a lot of fans were nervous when last week everyone's thinking, what is going to happen here? Especially because he used to play for Cardiff, and my friend who's a Cardiff fan said to me, "Oh, we used to have Ben Wilson. He's absolutely terrible." And of course, he came on against Cardiff, and I thought, "Oh no, Agent Wilson." But he's been brilliant.
Listen, the challenge for their penalty, it wasn't, he has to try and make the save, right? And he made himself big, and that's all he can do to try and put off the attacking player. And it's just the collision that happens off the ball. It happens anywhere on the pitch as well.
He catches him on the way down. It's not like he runs to him and wipes him out. He jumps, and as he's coming down, he just like slightly catches him. It's a joke of a decision. I was fuming. I mean, if we'd only been 2-0 up at that point, oh my goodness, it'd have been brutal.
City, wouldn't it? Yeah, the old arse going like this, definitely.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was a penalty, Dean. No.
Definitely. I mean, there was no difference, zero difference to that challenge today than the one that was on O'Hare on Tuesday night. And it's that little inconsistencies that are vital for teams scrapping at the bottom of the league. But it's a third party we've got to worry about, the referee, and sometimes the influence on him isn't strong enough for me from our team. I think we're a little bit soft at times. What do you think about that? Yeah,
no, I agree. I do agree. I feel like recently, last few games, we've been a bit better. I do agree though. I feel like compared to some teams who are always harassing the referee, for us it might only be Kelly or Fads might have a little word, but it's all sometimes it seems a bit half-hearted. Do you know what I mean? And it's almost like we sort of take what's given to us and move on. But I mean, Rotherham, how many fouls did they commit today?
They did, yeah. I've got the stats for you. Here you go.
Here we go.
15 fouls from Rotherham today, 3 yellow cards as well. They were a very aggressive team, weren't they? But I felt they were looking for a lot of stuff as well. They're trying to con the referee at times. Yeah,
I'm surprised that our fouls are so close, because I felt like they did a lot of cynical fouls. That Ola Sunday I thought was fortunate. He could have gone. And to be fair, I feel like it was part of our game plan to try and stop them from putting balls in the box or having that opportunity. So there was a couple of times in the first half, I don't know about you, Dean, I was a bit frustrated when we were giving away sloppy free kicks halfway inside our own half.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, there was a couple where curled in, and you're thinking, just don't. Any slight touch, they were just, like you say, falling over, looking for the free kick.
There were spells, weren't there, where instead of putting our foot on the gas, we let them come back into it. I'm thinking straight after the second goal, they had that 15-minute period, didn't they, where they were pretty much, dominating our half of the pitch.
Yes, they did have a fair, a lot of the ball, but I felt like it was one of those where I felt an open play. I didn't feel worried. I feel like while the ball was moving around,
sure,
yes, they could put some crosses in, but if we stop the cross, they're not a good footballing side. They're not going to play a nice ball through the middle. So I felt pretty good. It was mainly set pieces, corners, and if like against Derby, really, had we given them that time to put that sort of cross in, there could have been trouble. But I thought Dabo and McCallum back to his best after that one game, against Derby, where he was a bit rusty. Yeah.
It's a good point you make, and if I flip back to the stats, you look at the attempts that Rotherham had. We only limited them to the one on target, which is brilliant, isn't it?
Oh yeah, quality, and that would have been the penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so
just the 10, yeah.
So you take that away, and we got a lot of good blocks in. A lot of those attempts as well, to be fair, there was a couple of headers they had which went harmlessly over the bar in the first half. They had a couple of efforts, like you said, when they tried a long-range effort, but we blocked it. So, no, we did a very good job at sort of protecting Ben Wilson and protecting the goal, I thought.
I think the stats on the possession might be a little bit skewed here. I'm not too sure we only had 43%. I would say we'd probably around the 50 mark. I did think it was quite even.
Yeah, maybe. The problem is sometimes it's like, I remember there was a game. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to tell. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously it's what possession counts. Like I felt like possession in actual attacking phases, we had a lot more than Rotherham. But I mean, the main thing is we got the goal. The other thing I want to say about Ben Wilson is one thing he does that Morosi never does is he comes for crosses, and he claims it, and it just takes off so much pressure. Like my one criticism about Morosi is he just stands on his line all the time, and it drives me insane, because you're just thinking, it's down to the defenders. Whereas Wilson comes out and he just caught it a couple of times today and instantly just relieves the pressure.
Before we move on to a final couple of points, I just want to point everyone in the direction of the Sky Blues Extra podcast. We just released the Liam Walsh episode this week. Fantastic insight to that season. The champion season with Liam Walsh thoroughly involved in the middle of the park throughout the whole season. And obviously on Monday we'll have our weekly review on both the Derby match and this match against Rotherham. So make sure you stay tuned for those. I want to talk a little bit about Robbins. He had the opportunity to bring more subs on today. Obviously, he's got that 5 in the pocket, and it's something I've been critical on in the past. He doesn't really seem to make substitutions at the right time. Sometimes they might not be needed, but sometimes there might be fresh legs. How do you feel that went today? I personally feel like he could have took Biamu off and maybe had an extra man in midfield to give him a rest ahead of Tuesday.
Well, I thought when I saw Bakayoko coming on, I thought he was coming on for Biamu. Yeah. I didn't expect Walker to come off. So I agree. I do agree. I felt like against Derby, the subs weren't right. Mm-hmm. I don't think they had an effect on the game at all. I don't think Biamu or Bakayoko did diddly squat against Derby. And then Chibello didn't really get in the game either. Today, I sort of understand why he didn't, because we were 3-0 up and we looked like we were dealing with everything that they had. So it was sort of one of those. I agree. Sometimes you do like to. I mean, he could have brought on Sheaf, couldn't he? He could have brought on Sheaf.
It's just the leg situation going into this period of 8 games over December and into January.
I mean, he could have brought Bakayoko on for Walker, and he could have took Biamu off and brought on Sheaf just to have that extra player in midfield, like you say. Yeah. I agree, because obviously Walker and Bakayoko, Walker and Biamu, they're going to be needed. They're going to be leading the line, and the pressure's on them to score the goals.
Especially with Godden out now. I mean, that's a real big blow. We're hearing more about this injury of Matty Godden. It looks like it's going to be very, very long term, and that's a huge blow, isn't it, for our season?
It's a massive blow. I mean, we all Contra fans, we love Matty Godden, we love the aeroplane. But again, one thing I was thinking about is every season with Robbins, we've had an injury. There's something's happened and we've had to adapt. Yeah. And so far, every time we've adapted. You think back to League Two, Jody Jones was our best player in the league, and he got injured. And then he had to change formation. And then we got promoted. Mark McNulty scored 28 goals. And then you think back to last season, Chibello, we were playing with the wingers, Chibello gets injured, and he had to change the formation again. So in a way, it could be a blessing in the fact that actually maybe we're going to see Walker really take his chance and start scoring goals. Biamu, and obviously you'd rather have Matty Godden fit, don't get me wrong, but it forces us to have to adapt. And so far, 5 games unbeaten, only conceded 3 goals in 5 games. It's going well.
It's an incredible turn of form, that, isn't it? The unbeaten run, because we were pretty much down in the doldrums before them 5 games, and all of a sudden we've turned our season around. The fans are back on side. Everything seems to be positive around the club, and that's what a good run can do.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you think back to the games before the international break, because that was where the change, wasn't it? And yet we had Watford, and it was just kamikaze. Forest, kamikaze at the end. I mean, Biamu's redeemed himself for that moment. But you think back, and then the Reading, even though we beat Reading, we conceded 2 goals. And
sloppy at times, weren't we, in that game?
Middlesbrough as well. So actually, if you sort of look at the 5 games before the international break, the goals conceded, it's a drastic sort of difference. Yeah. And it's obviously that change in shape has worked wonders.
I think there's only 4 goals conceded now since that international break. Well, it might be 3 actually.
I think it's it's 1 against gets clean sheet against Birmingham and Cardiff, 1 against Norwich, 1 against Derby, and 1 today. So 3, yeah. Yeah,
and that does the world of difference for the goal difference as well. I was watching the game with my dad, and I said the goal difference is going to be absolutely key. It's going to be so tight down the bottom of this division, and if we stay up by an odd goal here or there, that could happen.
Well, after the Watford game, I remember sat here and. Yeah, we were winning that game. Our game management just was non-existent. And I looked and we'd conceded over 2 goals a game, on average. And every win we'd had been 3-2. And I'm thinking, you can't expect to win 3-2 every time. Do you know what I mean? We're going to have to get a 1-0 in there. And obviously, we've changed that. We got the win against Cardiff. today, scored 3 goals, and it's grinding out those results in a different way while keeping those sort of principles that Robins always likes to play with. But no, like you said, Dean, goal difference, it's going to come down to small margins. And if in these next few games, I've just got the fixtures here, up until Christmas: Luton, Wycombe, Huddersfield, Wednesday, Stoke, and Preston until the end of the year. I mean, there's wins there, surely.
Massive, and I mean, they're all teams that are going to be fighting for their lives. The way the league is shaping up, isn't it? One thing Ian has said here in a comment, alluding to the coaching team, they've picked the teams, the systems, the tactics for each game, and they've worked. And that's something you alluded to earlier on, wasn't it? Certain games need certain ways of playing, and we've adapted really well since that international break.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like at the start of the season we sort of went, we've just won the league. We lost 3 games all season last year. We'll do the same thing, and we sort of stuck by that. And then we weren't fit enough. I think the gap did take a. I think if we had 5 subs from the start of the season, I think we'd have got a result against Bristol City, because our players were just knackered. So I feel like we sort of stuck with it for a while, and then Robins has gone. And credit to him, credit to the coaching staff. They went, actually, you know what? It's not like League One where we can just play the same way and fancy our chances. We're going to have to be smarter in some games. Yeah. And that Birmingham game was massive, actually, because we just conceded 3 2 weeks prior, and it was going into that game going, let's defend well, and we got the clean sheet, and we've just built on it since.
They always say the first point of attack is defence, right? That's what they always say, and we've built on that since that Birmingham game. That's something you alluded to there really well. That Birmingham game was a pivotal point because it showed we can defend, we can keep clean sheets, but all it's going to take is a little bit of adapting to our new surroundings.
Yes, because I think we've got good defenders. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I was always just shocked, with how many we were conceding, because I was just like, I mean, today again, Fad's brilliant again. I mean, who would have thought? Arguably, he's been our best centre back, really. Arguably, him and Hyam. And you'd never have expected that. Do you know what I mean? All the plaudits were for Michael Rose, and rightly so, because he was quality last year. But Hyam and Fads, I think everyone expected Fads just to be on the bench and just I don't know, not play. But he's
so
been
different to how it's worked out, right?
And he just looks on the ball. Do you remember when we played Rotherham last year, and our whole team had a nightmare? But I remember the defending. But today, I don't know. And this season, he just looks like he's just switched on all the time.
It's like something's gone, I can do this, I can play at this level. It just takes a little bit of self-belief and someone to get your arm around him and say you can do it, and they're showing that. Well,
and he, because we haven't got that much experience in the side. He's one of the few players who've actually played championship football. Him and Kelly are massive. Oh yeah, no, exactly. He's a leader, himself and Kelly. Because with Matty Godden injured, you haven't got that experience on the pitch. So those two really are grabbing the game by the scruff of its neck and the people around him.
Yeah, and another thing, Kelly there, we were conceding lots of goals, weren't we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Kelly, like Tony says there, we're a better team with Kelly in. And I said it last year, even with Liam Walsh, when we didn't have Kelly, and it was Walsh and Westbrook or Walsh, and it just never felt as good. I never felt as secure, because Kelly
marshals people as well, doesn't he? You look at the close-up camera today, you just saw him pointing and shouting at people and directing people, and that's what you need, someone in there to march people around.
And I felt like we were conceding goals because when we were playing that really good attacking football, it was Sheaf and Hamer, and I just felt they had no one to. Because I feel like Hamer, I love him, but he can be a bit ill-disciplined with his positioning. Like sometimes he'll go walkabouts, whereas at least with Kelly there, you've got him talking to him constantly. Whereas I didn't feel like Sheaf was doing that. So then they would both get overrun, and then suddenly there'd be a massive hole in our midfield. Kelly, like you say, he's a talker, but he's a good footballer as well. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves for his actual playing ability.
Absolutely. So we've got another big week, obviously, coming up now. 2 massive games in the shape of our season, basically. Luton, obviously Tuesday night at home. Obviously, we spoke about them being down a man as well today, so he's not available. And then obviously the big game at the weekend versus Wycombe. What are your thoughts heading into those two? Because they're both winnable games, aren't they? For sure.
They're both winnable games. And the danger with that, though, is that the opposition, they'll be saying exactly the same. It's a winnable game. But I feel good at St Andrews. We've only lost 3 league games in our entire time at St Andrews. Tranmere.
Maybe we should try buy that stadium instead of building one.
Maybe we just kick. Maybe we would kick Birmingham out. Birmingham
just
can
swap
go to the
cities.
Rico.
Swap cities.
Yeah. But no, so obviously it was Bournemouth and Blackburn this season, the 2 games we've lost at St Andrews. But
yeah,
Luton, I fancy. They got hammered against Cardiff last weekend. I think they're both winnable games. If you gave me 4 points, I think that would be a fantastic sort of turnaround. Even 3 points, in a way. I know we don't want to lose games, but
yeah.
I'd rather get a win and a loss than 2 draws. I'd rather get a win against Wickham or Luton. Do you know what I mean? Because we need the wins. That's what we need. We need those 3 points on the board, and get us to. I remember thinking at Christmas, if we can have around 22 points, I felt like we'd be in a good position. And so far, we're on a course to potentially do that.
Yeah, and we might eclipse it. Who
yes,
knows? Yeah. Confidence is so high at the moment now. 5 games unbeaten, a win today under our belts. We played really, really well at times today. And I think we should be, we shouldn't go into any of these matches scared of our opposition, because we can come out on top for sure.
Exactly, and I think the players should take confidence that actually, we're good enough to be in this division. And the thing that always gave me confidence, even in that bad run, was I look at our team and I think we've got a lot of players that other Championship teams would want if we went down.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Sure, I think compared to Rotherham and Wickham, we've got, like I called it, like the gold mine. I felt like we've got players who other teams would go, oh, we would kill to have him in our team. Whereas I don't think Rotherham and Wickham have anywhere near as many as we do. Do you know what I mean? I look at Hamer, I look at O'Hare, I look at Godden, I look at the list goes on. So that gave me confidence, even on that bad run, that we've got players here who are good enough, and we've just got to get them to believe it. Think of the turnaround though, Dean. Forest and Watford, we conceded 2 late goals. We should have got a point from both those games. Confidence would have been at its lowest ebb. And then we've come back, and now they shouldn't fear anybody in the next sort of remaining games.
Absolutely. And there's a great comment here from SkyBluesExtra, who hopes that we'll get another 4-1 win. Great picture of Max as well. Another 4-1 win at Wickham next week. And Wickham going to have fans in the stadium next week as well. That's another, curveball for us. Playing in a stadium with fans again. Obviously, there won't be any away fans, which is obviously disappointing. Maybe a little bit of an advantage to Wickham. How do you think that's going to go with fans back in?
It'll be interesting. I just can't wait for the day that we can be there and just congratulate Robbins on what we never got to do last season. I did see the video of Ainsworth going around the supporters, but it's a shame that Matty Godden's not fit, so he can turn around and point to the back of his shirt in front of the Wickham supporters like he did last year.
Yeah, it is a shame that we can't be there, and hopefully there was a potential green light on Boxing Day, potentially if Birmingham gets dropped from a tier 3 to a tier 2, which is looking likely at the moment. And Dave Boddy's come out and said that that's the first plausible game for us to return, where all the fans with the memberships this year will be chucked into a ballot, and the first 2,000 names out will win the chance to get back into St Andrews, which would be a fantastic Christmas present, wouldn't it?
No, it'd be quality. Who have we got on Boxing Day? I've got it here.
Stoke.
Who have we got? Stoke at home, yeah. So it would be brilliant. I think it would be absolutely quality. I think we've all missed it, and I just hope that I could be one of the lucky 2,000. But you know what's going to happen? I kept thinking Coventry will get dropped to a tier 2, and then Birmingham will stay in a tier 3, and we'll go, why are we not playing in our home?
It'll be our first sellout for a while as well, as Jamie points out. We haven't sold out a ground for a long time.
Yes, yeah, no, exactly.
Cool. Ross, thanks very much for joining me this evening.
Cheers,
Absolute pleasure having you along. And to all the fans, thank you for joining us as well on SkyBluesExtra Live. We'll be back on Tuesday evening after the game versus Luton Town. Hopefully another 3 points in the bag for the Sky Blues. As I said, check out the SkyBluesExtra site for all the merchandise that are on offer with free postage at the weekend. Get yourself a nice little Christmas present for somebody. And keep an ear out for our podcast, which will be out on Monday morning. And that's all we've got time for this evening. So, Ross, thanks very much.
Cheers, Dean.
Cheers. And all that's left to say is play off Sky Blues.
Sky Blues.